Okay, so welcome to another episode of Elite Psyche, the Mental Toughness Show. Um, my name is Tony Fleming, and nothing but good things happen to me all the time. And I also have a guest on, Miss Latasha Sly, and nothing but good things happen to her all the time, also. And 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 my trusted assistant, Miss Valerie, nothing but good things happen to her also. So we just a good thing happening over here. All right. So Elite Psyche, the Mental Toughness Show, um, came up with the name because a lot of people out here have a damaged psyche since childhood, that early childhood programming. And our goal is to interview people that I consider that has this kind of elite psyche because they have had some success in their life. And anytime you have that, um, there's some changes in your psyche and you become better on the inside. You become a better person. Now, the mental toughness part came from anytime you win in anything, you have to go through a lot. So you have to be mentally strong. So I threw that in, mental toughness, because I just believe that people lose it here in their psyche and in their mental toughness. They just lose it and they don't advance. So when I interview people or when we talk about stuff on the Lee Psyche show, you have to listen and see if you can grab some nuggets. It's not like I interview a person and say, "Oh, tell me how mentally tough you are." No, but you should be able to pick up some nuggets as people talk about some of the stuff that they've gone through and some of the things that they're doing in life. And so that's why we named the show that. Now, today our sponsor is New Spira. New Spira, man. I tell you, every sip counts with New Spira. You have the latte mushroom coffee, the black coffee, mushroom black coffee. Also have the Vibe, VIAB, and that's called vitamins in a bottle. VIAB, we call it Vibe. You know, you got to have that vibe, VIAB, and a detox drink, which we love that people need to detox a lot because like garbage come in your mind every day, garbage comes in your body every day from the food and stuff that we take in. So New Spira, where better matters. So maybe I'll take a little sip. I'm gonna have to send you some, Miss Latasha. You can't sit with me today.
I'll take your word for that.
Okay. So how's it going?
It's going great. Thank you so much for inviting me to your show. I feel so honored.
Your mic feels like you kind of way off a little bit. Are you up on your mic? Is the volume up?
Let's go.
Could be me though. I could just be my sound.
Can you hear me now?
Yep. Still, it's cool. It's cool.
Okay.
We'll make it work. All right.
All right. Let's go.
All right. So my followers and the people who watch the Elite Psyche show, I want you to tell them about you and what you're doing, because I think you just stepped out into a new venture to where you just now, it's what does it say? Every man for himself and God for us all. So.
Yeah, well, I've been actually doing what I'm doing as far as coaching and consulting since 2009. I started in the education space. So with education consulting, I was actually helping students and parents with the college admissions process. And where that came from is I was actually working at a university where I realized that a lot of parents at that time, even though they were going back to school with higher education, and they were looking for clarity on how to make themselves better, right? Going back to school and trying to get the master's degree or do all of the things. And so I decided that I wanted to help our youth. And so that's where my consulting agency started in 2009, right after I had my son. Because I really thought at that time I was going to actually leave that job and do that full time, but I actually started doing it part time. And so did that, and I've been doing that. Actually, I'm closing out my last cohort on that this year, to be honest with you. And then so then I decided to go into podcasting, and Sly Solutions was born, which is also a coaching and consulting agency for business strategy and leadership development.
Okay. So when you counsel, when you consult, is it a certain level, grade level, or is it just you consulting with the uh, instructors, or I mean, you consulting with for the faculty, or what? Who are you?
Well, for Sly Education, I focused literally on 8th through 12th grade. And what I did was we literally did like a preparation. So making sure, I call it a transition, because everyone that's going through a transition at the time in 8th grade, of course, you're getting ready to go to 9th grade. And what I found was a lot of parents and students did not understand what the severity was of preparing their student for the next level. And so they needed some help. They didn't know what questions to ask, who to talk to, how to approach the admissions advisor at the university or college that they were interested in. They were waiting till the 12th grade year to try to get prepared for college, and that's not the right way to go. And so if start having workshops and consultation and things of that nature. So I like to specialize what I customize, if you will, my services based off of what that student needs. Because what I found was in schools and institutions is that you might have one counselor to every 300, 400 students, depending on the size of the school, right? And so they're not focused on what your student needs. They're focused on the checklist. Do you have you completed all the classes that are needed? Are you meeting the GPA requirements, and all of those things, right? Testing, SAT, and all of that. So your student, your child could actually be lost in the process. And so when they come to me, it's literally me sitting down and focusing on the motivation for the student. Because when you actually realize too, both sometimes the parent and the student have two totally different motivations. A student may want to go for one degree, and a parent wants you to do something else. Or what's the best thing for the student, small university or a large university or institution. So having a consultant to help a student when you're making those transitions early on, it's very imperative, because now you can actually set them up, and it's not like stressful going into your third year, fourth year of high school, and you're waiting to the last minute because you have so many things that you have to focus on.
Now, these workshops are online or in person?
I meet with my students in person when I was doing that. Yeah.
But you're not doing the
Yeah.
workshops now.
As far as workshops, well, I actually get calls a lot.
Okay.
Right now, I going into schools that I'm speaking a lot for, so it's more as my speaking engagements and things like that nature. I'm having a lot more opportunities speaking at colleges and universities about the next level. Reason why I wanted to go into leadership, because I have almost 2 decades of leadership. Well, not almost, but 2+ decades of leadership, and so I focus on business strategy and leadership when it comes down to that piece of it, and what the importance of focusing on being the right leader, even coming out of college, if you're a
Okay.
business major.
Let's
Mm-hmm.
talk about that then. I want to talk about that. So, do you have your certificate from John C. Maxwell leadership?
It's funny, actually. I'm looking into joining Maxwell. I am certified life coach and business strategist, and but I'm looking into Maxwell's program as we speak.
Okay.
Hmm. But I
Um,
do hold I have a bachelor's degree, and I have two masters. I have a master's in business and a master in higher education.
okay. And what part of this country are you in?
I'm in Houston. I'm in Texas.
Really? I know
Yes.
that. You know I know that. I'm just joking with you. So
I,
you escaped the storm?
Well, I was blessed, to be honest with you, because we didn't have any problems like majority of those that are around us. But Houston, that storm was pretty bad for us, even for it to be a category 1. It was definitely,
Yeah,
we went.
I got a friend of mine, a young lady, lost almost everything. A big, huge tree just fell down and split the middle of her house, and she's in an area where I think a month or two before that, or 3 months, there was another storm, and the insurance companies dropped everybody in that area and said they're not going to cover it, which I think is illegal. But and so she was in the process of trying to find insurance for that, and here come the other storm, and it just demolished her house.
That's sad.
Yeah, really
But
is. So
what I actually found out too is that a lot of insurance agencies are actually dropping people based off if they
yeah,
don't have certain insurance. Yeah, so it's one of those things. It's sad that we're not focused on human beings and Americans and doing the right thing. Everything is about the dollar right now.
I have a suggestion. Get up out of Houston and come to Atlanta. I think that's where you need to be anyway.
Atlanta's pretty hot right now. It's funny. I was just having this conversation with another one of my inner circle members, and he also said, he's like, man, have you ever thought about going to Atlanta? Because I just, for the third time this year, I just went to Atlanta when I met you at the
Right.
summit. And so yeah, Atlanta is hot right now,
But
especially for.
here's the real deal. It's a waiting list. You have to wait to come in. We're going to have to let like a couple of thousand leave first, and then we'll let y'all come in. So
Is it oversaturated and overrated?
oh yeah, we're trying to get people say overrated, but it's not overrated. It's just oversaturated, and we're trying to kick some bombs out. Some of these people that came from, not the right kind of people that came from Houston like you, but some of these other guys came from Houston and New Orleans and New York and all that. They get here and talk smack. Yeah, we had to escort them on out. You know what I'm saying? So, but we still got a few more that we have to get out. So did you go to college there?
I went to school here. Yes, I actually went to Prairie View A&M University.
Oh, you swag. Okay. I didn't know you was swag. Okay.
You say me hello?
Yeah, I'm just late. So we always used to beat up on Prairie View in football. That was fun game. Okay. All right. So tell me your favorite leadership book.
Oh my God, Miles Monroe. I'm actually, it's sitting right here. Everything I mean, I
Miles
love.
Monroe, you talking about spiritual leadership.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying leadership for 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 everybody else.
For everybody else. But that's where it starts for me. I feel like to be a good leader, I have to be a good leader of myself first. I have to understand where I'm going, how I want to show up, and to make sure that I'm authentically me at all times. And I have to put my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ first, right? So
I agree.
and,
I mean that,
and to make sure that I can communicate effectively and allow people to know that I see you at your level, at your, to develop you, I have to be the best me first. So
somebody co-signs with you.
Yeah. I definitely
I was following Miles Monroe before most people was following him. I go back to, man, let's see, 1991. 90, were you born then?
I was born in. Come on now, you really? Okay. But thank you for that. If you say that,
okay.
It's like black gold crack.
Yeah.
I'm definitely older than what you think.
I got you. Okay. Yeah, Miles. He's always been he always was a spiritual leader, and his stuff lives on. You can go out there on YouTube and I actually watched some of his things about a month ago, maybe a month and a half ago. I did a fast, and I watched his before I did the fast. I watched two of his videos on fasting, and he had some good stuff out there. I'm talking about fasting. But Miles is not a topic that he probably didn't talk about and connect spirituality with it. So I'm with you on that. So all your books are strictly spiritual. You don't have any other books that you read outside of that?
Oh, the highly effective leaders, if I'm not mistaken, or highly effective people. I've read that. I think when we met before, We talked. I know how you feel about this book, but Think and Grow Rich. I've read that one. Trust and Inspire. I've read that as well.
Okay.
Um, yeah. So just to name a few.
Okay. Cool. So what would you do if you came to? What would you do when you go to a college and you talking about leadership? Is it
What would I
five?
do?
Give me 5 points that you would talk about.
Oh my word. It's so there's so many. But
Okay.
I focus on literally like the 4 E's. So it's when you're coming out of school, number one, I always talk about communication, but knowing who you are when you come out and making sure that you utilize the time that you have in school to prepare for the next. So if you're right now you're in prep, you're in prep stage. And so
Mhm.
when you're preparing so that you don't have to get ready, as they say. But I focus
Okay.
on the exposure, right? Exposure, experience, and expertise. So once you have to get exposed, because everybody coming out thinking that to have this six-figure job, especially in business, and that's not the case. Let's be real.
Mhm.
So you have to be able to get exposure so that you can become gain the experience. And once you actually gain the experience, you now become the expert. And when you become the expert, now you're ready to actually teach the thing or start the new business. Everybody wants to just start from the top when you have to trust the process. There is a process before you are an executive to any
Right.
business or anything like that.
Now, this you're actually preaching to the choir because I agree 100% with you on everything you said. But I think you need to go out there and tell the people on social media that because they if you ain't making $1 million, you're doing nothing. You are actually doing nothing. I made a some of them out there. I made $1 million before I had my first cup of coffee this morning, and then I made another million before here. And you got
Yeah.
people watching that and kids watching that and thinking that six figures is, I saw somebody said six figures was
That's that's the new target. It's not just coming out with a job, we have benefits and all of that. And but everybody has their thing. Some people feel like, education now is not worth going to a 4-year school. And
Mhm.
I totally disagree with that. But yeah, when I've actually been in rooms where people have made $1 million in a day, 5 million in a day. So
Right.
I totally understand. But you have to still understand where that person came from. They didn't just go into the room and make a
Well,
million
that
dollars.
they don't show that on Instagram. It just show you what's happening now. They don't show where you came from. They don't because
Yeah,
that won't sell. Nobody will look at that. They want
yeah,
to look
that's
at
work.
the cars, the houses, the money. They don't want to look at if you go out there and show that you were struggling and you like right now. It's some people right now that are struggling and going through some things to get to where they want to get to. They can't post that. Because if they post it, everybody gonna talk about them and laugh at them and show that and see. But that's the part that people don't see is that part. And I think it's a challenge. You know, some people say post it, some don't post it. So everybody lives on social media now, and so if you were to post your struggles, only time you can post that is when you come back after you've done it, you come back and show people that. But if you try to, if you show them on the way up, they, they'll try to. The matter of fact, they'll try to keep you down right there. They're like, "Oh, okay, we got him now." So
Well, then that means that audience isn't for you, right? Because sometimes people can actually respect the small beginnings because now
they
you can
should,
relate. You
they
should,
should,
but
but
you should be posting for just other people that you don't know, right? It's all
so
about
go ahead. No, go ahead.
but it's all about showing and being transparent in your growth, and then people can actually respect when you actually say, yeah, I have now made my first million, because now they know where you come from, versus just appearing and now you trying to sell me, a $35,000 VIP day or something crazy like
Hmm.
that, right? So it's your audience is for you. Whoever says yes to you and your business and the opportunities that you bring, that audience is specifically for you. So you can't be afraid to show who you really are.
You
And if
think
people
so?
do, I honestly believe that. I totally believe that.
So you think that your audience, your closest friends, the people that follow you, you know how they say those are the ones that get you. It ain't the enemies, it's the closest ones. So you feel like if you really show your closest friends and your audience that you're struggling, that they would help, or they would say, "Oh, keep going, girl," or they would say, "Oh, that's great to show that."
I To be honest with you, I don't do anything for other people. I've never been that person. But my people that are like close to me, yes, they're going to tell me to keep going, regardless, because what's on the other side of the door is worth it. Sometimes it's
Okay.
everything, even in business, is there's a struggle. So if you only show the good, it's not reality. So even
Well,
as
yeah,
entrepreneurs, right?
I
Even you
agree.
starting your podcast, you have to, there's a learning process, there's a learning curve to this thing. So when someone comes to you and say, "Hey, Mr. Fleming, can you be my mentor?" You know how to show them the bad with the good,
But
because
understand, I'm like a 1 or 2 percenter. I don't give a, but most people concern themselves with that because
yeah,
they wouldn't. Most people hadn't even started a podcast that they should. I
yeah,
started mine 2.5 years ago, and there's a lot of people won't comment. They won't do anything. I understand that, but hey, I've been doing this all my life, so I read enough books to understand how people operate. But a lot of people get hurt right away and they done. They might post something out there and they have all the good intentions, and one of their friends or somebody say something to them and they cooked.
yeah.
That's what I'm
Well,
saying. So
you have to have tough skin. That's the toughness, right? You have to
right.
have what is the tough mentality, right? Because if you're going to put it's funny because I think we just had this conversation as well. For me, my social media presence has just started, but I've been in business for a while. But it was one of those things that I'm an old school businesswoman. I enjoy the connection of being person when I meet with someone. Like when you ask, "Are you still doing your workshops?" Because I wanted to be present. I didn't just say, "Oh, let's go ahead and do Zoom" in the beginning, because when you're dealing with students, you have to be present. It's hard for them to actually understand certain things when you're not. But when you have to push play and you have to record and you have to be vulnerable, some people don't even like the sound of their own voice. It becomes a thing. It gets into your head.
Okay. So let's talk about that then. That's a good topic.
Yeah.
How does a person get that toughness? How does a person, you say they got to be mentally tough, they got to be strong. How do they get it? Because they don't, if you look at the early childhood programming and what has happened to most people in their life, they don't have it. They're really intimidated about every little thing. So give me 3 things that a person can do to become mentally tough or can be able to deal with social media. And because people live on social media now, it's either you own it, and if you not own it, it's almost like, well, something wrong with you because you obviously you doing something sneaky. You don't want to be on social media. So if you own it and you're gonna be posting things, how do you deal with those stray bullets that come and hit you when you already afraid to do, like I can bet you all the people at that podcast summit, I would probably say the 70% of the people who came that didn't have one, they probably still don't have one because they're afraid to deal with that stray bullet. How do you
It's
keep them?
it's the mindset, right? I think even
Right,
in coaching, because we focus on, okay, if you want something bad enough, you have to get out your own way, right?
right.
So to do that, you have to know that what's on the other side is for you. But if you stay stagnant and you do nothing, you're going to have the nothing that you have next year. So if
Right.
you want to see change, you have to basically change your mindset and believe that you're worthy of what it is that you want. And once you realize, then will open up the doors
I'm
for you.
trying to get I'm trying to get out of you. How did you change your mindset? Because see, there are some people that are just born with this. And I always talk about this too. I say it's some people who are born with it and they kind of just tell everybody, just go do it.
Mhm.
And then a lot of people are not born with it. And if they're not born with it, they're afraid to go do it. How do you get these people to go do it and step out? Like again, I can promise you, most of them people who left there who didn't have a podcast, they came to get the information, still don't have one. And the only reason they don't, they're afraid that you get one like, they're afraid that nobody gonna comment, which I already told you, I understand that. I know it's a lot of people ain't commenting on mine just because they don't want to comment. But it's a lot of people too. You know, what I'm saying is that doesn't bother me, but it bothers a lot of people. And the reason it doesn't bother me because I've fed my mind for a long time with books and all kind of stuff. But what I'm asking you is, if a person is not reading, a person doesn't do anything, how would you say they should become tough? How would they? Because you could say right now, just go on out there and post and don't care what they say, but they gonna care.
Yeah.
So
I do agree with you on that, but at this, because I mean, again, I was that person, but it was like, you have to do something different if you want change. You have to make sure that you step out there and say you're gonna do it. You're gonna do it scared. You're gonna fail forward, right?
yeah.
Because if you don't, if you're doing something for somebody that you don't know to like you, you're doing it for the wrong reason. At the
Well,
beginning, it's
I don't think they're doing it for people to like them. I think they're excited about what they want to post. They're excited about their podcast, and I don't know if they don't want them to like them, but they don't want a straight bullet where somebody says you look stupid, or because they, social media
And what
has.
I say to that is delete and keep it moving, because it's like, okay, you have to think about this. The person on the other side of that stupid comment, do they have a podcast? What accomplishments are they
But okay,
are they accomplishing?
but yeah,
Because
you're
you are
right.
trying
They
to
don't.
please people that are doing absolutely nothing, right?
But yeah,
So at the end of the day, you're still ahead of the game when someone else, all they can do is comment.
that's true. And a person like you understands that.
Mm-hmm.
So these questions I keep asking, what it comes down to, it sounds like, and no people don't want to admit this, that 80 to 90% of people ain't gonna do nothing anyway. Because if you're telling them that just post it, delete them, and keep moving, that's a rarity. They will delete them and stop moving and sit back and cry. And I'm saying that's normally really what happens. And I think a lot of us don't want to say that to people, that you just ain't built for it.
Is it that they're not built for it, or you just not really ready for what the backlash could be? And that's the thing, is like, if Oprah decided not to do what she was doing, she wouldn't, or Tyler
Right.
Perry. So you have to understand, everything comes with backlash. The further and further, the higher and higher you get in your career, there's some backlash,
I
because
get that.
people just, you know what I'm saying, people just like saying things that are negative
Well,
or
yeah,
not.
yeah. And they don't want to see you. A lot of people don't want to see you do stuff that they
Win.
know they can't do. So they don't want
Right.
to see that. I understand that. And that's why I don't care how long it take my podcast to get to a point where I don't care. I mean, because I know that, anything I've started, if we go back to the network marketing industry, my first 3 or 4 years, it was not, people see me after that and they think, well, so I'm supposed to start a podcast and I'm supposed to be just like that. I'm supposed to be blowing up. No, I know the process. I know you got to get skin up. People talked about you, laugh about you. I know all of that process, because then eventually you're going to get to a point where it's going to grow and it's going to do the things that you needed to do. But what I'm saying is the average person don't get that. You're special because, that's why I'm interviewing you. And when I met you, I could tell at the podcast summit, because we had conversation most people be afraid. I talked to some people that they was afraid to even talk to me. I mean, they probably thought I was trying to. I'm just having a conversation. They, well, who is this guy?
Right, right. Yeah,
But
'cause you came up to me, I mean, we're sitting, of course, you know, VIP, we're VIP, but at the same time, it's like you when you go to things like that, you have to
you
put
have to,
there's a
right,
connection. I went to build a network, and so it was. I mean, the everything was great, but at the same time, it allowed you to have you had to get out of your comfort zone because you didn't even know who was sitting next to you. I was sitting
right,
next to another multi-million-dollar
right,
person. He introduced himself to me, and I'm like, really? And so he started putting me on game. But you just
right.
never know. You won't if you don't ask or have conversation. You might
It's
miss your
funny
blessing.
because it was a few of them in the room, and I didn't know that because they were all down. And I don't know all the big, internet guys and
They
podcast
were
guys.
all there,
Yeah, they
all
were
there.
there. It was funny, because I met a couple of them, and I was talking to them, and I'm like, guys told me, that's. I'm like, no. I mean, I knew a few of them because I'm out here looking at different podcasts all the time because I have a podcast, but some of them I didn't know, and a lot of them were kind of guys that are big behind the scene, like they kind of produce some of these shows and do some of that.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, I mean, a person like you, I still believe that some people, I know you're gonna say, well, I went through the same thing, but I believe that you probably didn't mind introducing yourself to people in the 8th grade. I'm saying it ain't like all of a sudden you came out your shell and now I'm gonna talk there. I bet you if yeah, if I try to find some people that was with you in the 8th grade, but she was talking back then. You wouldn't know
It
little shy person in the corner.
it's funny that you say that because not well, I'm a true Sag, but at the same time, I what we go through sometimes as children, as a young adult, it kind of comes through as through an adult. I went to school originally for radio, television, broadcasting, and I had someone in a class. Can't even remember, but the guy said, "Oh, you're not going to actually be successful in this because you don't know anybody." And
Mhm.
I wasn't from Houston. I don't know anything about television broadcasting. I didn't know any executive producers or anything like that. So I changed my major to business and made communications my minor. But this is
Right,
how God works. I'm actually a broadcaster now. I mean, a
right,
podcaster now. So
right,
evidently, it was still meant for me. But it's if it's in you, it's in you,
right. I
right?
don't know if we talked about this, but I agree. That was my major communications, and I walked around campus with the camera. We had a
Mhm.
studio where we go in there and we talk on the microphone, all of that. But when I got out of college
Yeah.
and graduated, I didn't have the patience to
Mm.
work my way up. Because that didn't pay a lot. Especially at that time, it wasn't the internet. It wasn't so. Working at a radio station or a television station didn't pay hardly nothing. But that's where I should have kept going because then you work your way up. But I went for the money, man. I got in sales and that was it for me. I mean, I even did radio sales because I was in there trying to get, and the guy said, well, these people over here making money selling ads. I said, oh, okay, let's do that. So, and I but I pushed all that to the back because again, I always say I wanted to be Tom Joyner before Tom Joyner. But nobody was listening to me. I wanted to be the guy that brought the real solid information in the morning and play music. And I am a stand-up comedian too, so I could add that in there. But it didn't pay. You know what I'm saying? So I could have went to some of these little stations and worked my way up, which I should have done, like Charlemagne. I think he worked for free for a
Long
long
time.
time. Yeah.
Mhm.
So
But look at
but
him now. And
I
but see
know.
what
I agree. I agree. I
but
agree.
then too, look at you now. It's still come back
I'm
full
still. It's
circle.
coming back around. Yeah, it's coming
Yeah.
back around. Yeah,
You
it's
still
coming
are
back.
you getting paid now for your podcast?
Well, you already
You're
know
gonna
I'm not monetizing this like I should, because that's what you're gonna help
eventually
me
you
with.
will though.
Yeah,
That's my
yeah.
point. And you
Eventually,
have
yeah,
to.
yeah. You're right. I'm not. So,
I
uh,
mean, you getting sponsors. I see your shirt.
yeah,
You know all of
right,
those
right.
things.
I'm getting that, a little bit of that, but I I just grabbed the microphone and called Valerie and say, hey, we're gonna start talking. We're gonna do a podcast.
Or do
I
a
was,
podcast,
yeah,
Valerie.
I'm saying, yeah. And Valerie been here with me the whole time. So when I get super rich, Valerie's getting a big check.
Uh, okay, Valerie. But everybody needs that support system, right? Because I mean, I started my podcast on my own solo, right? And
Right.
so I went back and forth, like, okay, do I want to, a co-host or something like that, just to be able to bounce ideas off of people and things like that. So, my personality, I enjoy engaging with other
Right.
individuals,
I can
but
tell. Yeah.
I mean, I have to start somewhere. And
Right.
so when I ask, I send out an email or I contact someone I feel like is interesting and I feel like is worthy of coming on the show. You've been on my show. It actually, your episode drops on Friday.
Ask you about that.
So, yeah. And
Okay.
so very good episode, by the way. So y'all have to tune in on Friday for the Slight Experience podcast.
Okay.
Small plug. But
Doing
it
all that anyway. So.
it allows you it again you building that muscle, you building
Mhm.
a muscle. The more you do it, I'll be able to find my Valerie, right? I'll be able
Right.
to have more people on my payroll for
I got you.
that.
Well, Valerie says Valerie ain't on payroll. She just she's like,
Oh,
oh,
Valerie,
she like, I don't know why I'm doing this.
we're gonna have to talk. We're gonna have to talk. Come on with it, honey. You
Hey,
got
she just knows. She knows. So, but so your topic, it took you 100 years to watch The Founder. So let's talk about The Founder, the movie The Founder, the McDonald's story, kind of. Well, it really is the McDonald's story. And you were fresh from watching it. I watched it years back, and I remember this discussion we used to have about that. And it's almost like the ladies on one side and the men on the other side when it comes to The Founder. You feel like, what was the actor in it? The actor? Yeah, he's famous.
I don't remember his name.
Okay. But you feel like, what was his actual name is come on now, you fresh off the movie.
I am
The actual name of the guy who you said stole McDonald's from
yeah.
the McDonald brothers.
Yes.
Ray Kroc. So
I thought it was Michael Keaton. Was it Michael
that's
Keaton?
the name of the actor, but his real name, I mean, the person he played was Ray Kroc. Because if you think about McDonald's, you think about Ray Kroc.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you feel like Ray Kroc stole McDonald's from under the McDonald brothers.
Yes.
Okay. Explain to me how that happened.
Come on. Okay. So yes, I am just now getting on this bandwagon because someone actually said, "Hey, you need to go watch this movie," or "Have you ever watched The Founder?" And I was like, "Oh, what's The Founder?" And so they explained it. And I was like, oh, "Okay, perfect. I'm a business owner, entrepreneur, what have you." And so I get into this movie and realize this struggling person that's basically trying to sell whatever these I don't know what he was trying to sell, ice cream makers, I don't know. Went in and had an opportunity to meet two men that has built something from scratch in the small town, and they did all the research over years, and he decides he wants to basically steal their company. Like, he literally took their company from them. And that allowed me to say, or to realize, you have to protect yourself at all costs, because there's a difference between the wealthy and the rich. Don't get it twisted. And he was so adamant about taking things that wasn't his. He took the business, and he also divorced his wife. Spoiler alert if you haven't watched the movie. And took another man's wife. So it allowed you to think about is it true when it comes down to people's belief when it comes to money? Is it, the money is root of all evil? When you look at it like that, yes, absolutely, because he literally demised these people. He took from them because he wasn't actually, he didn't want to, they didn't want to change his contract. No.
You done?
Well, one more thing. He
Okay.
could have went and did a presentation, right? Hey, I have this idea. I want to incorporate, bring in another lawyer and allow them to see the bigger vision. Yeah, they felt like in the beginning they were small, okay, with their small one, oh, one, what is it?
The
One branch
location.
or
Yeah.
location. But when you present it in such a way so they can actually see the vision, of course, you can't do nothing but respect and say, oh, maybe there was a possibility they would have said yes.
You done?
I'm done. Come on.
Okay. All right. First thing I'm thinking as you say that,
Mm-hmm.
Valerie and literally Terrence, friend of mine who helped edit, they could literally take my podcast because they got everything in their hands. They got everything. I don't know how to reach it. I don't know how to get it. I don't know how to do anything. If they were to get together and say, let's take this, it's not anything right now to take, but it is a lot of video, a lot of stuff that they could do if they wanted. But I don't think
Okay, but even knowing that,
I don't think they would do that. So
knowing this,
but second
knowing
thing,
that,
okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
But sometimes Valerie, and clearly you trust her, right?
Mhm,
So because
mhm.
she is the back end of your business,
Right.
and so she's probably your right hand. But at
Okay.
the same time, they invited someone that they did not know. And you have to be smart and strategic about what you share with people that are trying to, come in and have all these opportunities. Because when you're new, I don't know. I was just watching a podcast of Stormy Daniels. I think that's her last name, the young lady that has the serums and the butter. And so she got taken advantage of too by someone that she thought that was going to help her scale her
Now
business,
wait a
right?
minute. Wait a minute. Stormy Daniels
Not Stormy
is
Daniels. Is it Stormy?
Donald Trump slut.
Oh no, I'm not. I'm sorry, not her. Stormy from the Housewives. She has you know what I mean?
Okay. I don't know her,
Husband,
but I know you're talking about. I got you. Okay.
right. So I just sat there and listened to a podcast that she did about how someone literally took everything from her. You don't know what you don't know in the beginning, but we say that when you look at podcasts like this, it's to educate you. You have to protect yourself, and you have to
All
do
right.
your homework and do your due diligence before you say yes to
Well,
bringing people onto your business.
right. Okay. I got you. Valerie would never do that. And hopefully Terrence would never do that. But he could.
Alex,
All
go
right.
ahead and sign the NDA.
But the second thing is Ray Kroc tried to help the McDonald's brother become huge. And they were so small minded, they didn't get it. He was, before he even got into the real estate game with them and tried to, and took their property, he was asking them on the phone, begging them, hey man, I just need another 2%. Can you give me another 2% so I can get around and build and make McDonald's bigger than life, and we can have other locations, and just another little 2% that you add on to what you're giving me. He on the phone with them asking them that. And they sitting there like, no, I don't think I can. I'm like, he's trying to build a empire for you guys. They wouldn't give it up. Now, the only thing that happened was he didn't come up with the idea about real estate and that it was his partner, the guy that he had brought on board to help him manage stuff. And when he went through everything, he said, you know what? This is a real estate deal. This is a location deal. This ain't no hamburger and French fry deal, And he explained it to Ray Kroc. And so and if I'm not wrong, Ray Kroc went back to them again, and they still didn't want to go. So it's called capitalism. It's called, you know what I'm saying? Hey, you got to be prepared for something. You know, if you got somebody that's hustling like that for you, if I had somebody out here moving, getting locations that my podcast could be on and bringing on, you know, top-notch guests, and I got somebody doing all that, that's spending their time doing it, I want to reward that man. I want to try. And when he called and said, I just need another few percentage, can you help me? You remember that part?
I do remember that part. He literally asked for 2 to 3%. But this is the thing. Even if he was genuine, who's to say he still would have gotten his 2% and still did what he's doing?
Well,
because
that's a possible.
Because he was struggling trying to pay his own bills. So the guy was like, "Hey, you're not in the burger business. You're in the real estate business," because it was franchise. He was, you know, buying all of this land and building from scratch.
That's a possibility.
So again, your integrity should say, "Let me show you in a presentation what is really going on, so that you won't just end up with $1 million check out of something that you didn't spend your hard-earned life, sweat, and tears in." And you couldn't even use the name at the end. He even took the name and told them that they couldn't use their own name. Are you serious? I don't know.
But they didn't look. But here's the thing. They really didn't want much. Don't be mad at him now because he wanted a lot. And it's like, I was
he could have did it on his own.
I was watching
what he said. He knew he wasn't.
But he didn't want to do it. Remember, him and his brother. They just want no. Ray Kroc couldn't have done it on his own because he needed that, you know, their products and things of that sort. But I'm saying the McDonough brothers, it's kind of like, I was just watching an interview the other day of, you remember the group NWA?
Yeah.
Dr. Dre, MC Ren, Yellow, and Cube was in there for a minute, and then it was Eazy-E. And somebody was interviewing Yellow, who played a big role in the NWA, but Yellow got off track and wound up being homeless and all that. But this was Yellow and Dr. Dre. Like this, they billionaire. Dre is a billionaire now. Yellow just coming off of being homeless. And they interviewed him and they was asking him about it. He said, man, Dre, when he left NWA, he asked me to come. He said, 25 years later, he says, I never answered him. He says, and I can't be mad at him for being a billionaire. I never responded. He asked them. Now you saying, well, he could have got the 2% and still been a, you know, crooked thief, as you call him. But as Kanye West would say, we'll never know. We will never know. Because
I feel like what's in a person is in a person. Yeah, I mean, because he had that mentality. I feel like he went into it because he went back multiple times asking all of these questions. He pitched the idea of, hey, can you let me do this? So he went in knowing that they already had something going, and he started to plot. Like, okay. And then I think he even said it towards the end. Yeah, I realized that you didn't know what you had. So he took it.
Right. Neither one of them knew what they had, but let's talk about a couple of funny scenes in there that I don't know if you remember this, but this was probably one of the most funniest scenes and it's subtle. Some people might pick it up, some people don't. But you remember when he went in the bank to get a loan, and he had been in that bank a few times getting loans for other stuff. And the bank manager said, don't I know you from somewhere? He said, oh, no, you never see this.
Right.
He's like, yeah, that wasn't me. You know, he was asking Ray Kroc that, and Kroc was like, No,
No.
he didn't want to let him know he had been in there 5 times trying to borrow money from him. The guy say, "Don't I know you?"
Mm-hmm.
No. That was the funniest thing in the world. And he said, "No, not me. You never. I've never been in here."
But see, even then, instead of him saying, "Yeah, you've done
Man,
business,"
come on. The man was hustling. He wouldn't have got that
Wait,
long.
even more reason why I'm trying to figure out why
See,
you don't
there
understand.
you go. I'm telling you. See, you trying to play by the rules, and you can't win out here like that. Now, I'm one of the rule guys. I play by the rule, and I realize a lot of things I didn't win in because I didn't. You can't play by the rules out here. You got to get out here and get it on your own. And most
I,
people who are winning out here are not. They didn't play by the rules.
yeah,
I can promise you that. Behind the scenes, is some things they did that they like. Hey,
he got
you
caught
know.
slipping.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
He got caught slipping.
DMX.
I guess I have to sleep at night, and my integrity is everything. My name is everything. If I do business with someone, I'm a communicator. Hey, if it's not working out, it's not working out. Let's part ways. Let's figure this out. I'm a strong believer. Also, it's like you learn from other people, but you don't become them, right? So you don't take what's not yours. Because I don't want anybody. I don't want to blackball on blessings. But that's just me. I don't know. I guess maybe it's
Well,
why it's
yeah. You need a partner that would do those things for you.
wait for
Yeah, let me tell you something. This is funny. In the 90s, me and my partner, we had this sports agency where we represented some players, and it didn't work out. It kind of, after about 2 or 3 years, it crashed. But in the time that we were in business, I met another guy named Mason Ash, who was pretty big at the time. He was growing more into the industry, and who became well known in the industry at the time. So I started working with him and recruiting players and bringing players to him and things of that sort, which was pretty good. I found out how the industry worked, and then it got to a point where I think some of the things that was being done, it didn't gel with my spirit. So I kind of, not him, he's a great guy, he did everything. It was just some of the things that happened in that industry. And I'm gonna give you one. This is the point I was trying to make. There's a well-known agent that, I'm gonna say his name, he passed away, Eugene Parker. He was Deion Sanders' agent, and he had a lot of other top players. Brother, he passed. He was about 60 years old too, kind of young when he passed. Real spiritual. Okay. I remember him. Well, Mason told me about a story about him, when he went to meet with Charlie Ward. I wasn't with him that day. So Charlie Ward was a quarterback and a basketball player out of Florida State. He went and met with him. And, it was like during that time, you have, still like that now probably, where if you're an agent, you set up a time to go visit the family, then other agents set up a time. So, one agent might come in at 12, and then at 2:00, another agent come in. So he told me that he was waiting, and when Eugene came out the house to meet Charlie Ward, he had his Bible in his hand because Charlie Ward's mother is real spiritual. Okay. And he told me that Eugene was, now I'm thinking to myself, I was in the trenches recruiting these football players. So I had to do the things that you do to get the players, which the number one thing at that time, and probably still the number one thing now, is these young kids want to go to strip joints. They got to go to strip joints. If you're going to recruit them, you're going to have to take them in there, give them some money to spend because they want to go to the strip joint. So I was the guy that was doing that. And it was one other agent that had 2 of his guys in there 10 times more than me and was spending money 10 times more than me. Guess who that agent was? Eugene Parker. Now he carrying the Bible over here, but he got 2 of his guys handling the strip joints for him. So So he let him, he holier than thou, but his two guys in there giving them thousands of dollars and they spending. Because every time I would look up, I'd be like, I mean, who is this guy with this dude? Oh yeah, he worked with Eugene Parker. Who is this guy with it? He worked with Eugene. So my point is, Eugene was not going to lose that money in those players. If you have the spirit of Eugene and say, you know, I can't do that kind of stuff, you better get you a couple of people. You better get you a couple of people on the side, and you say, you say, I ain't see that. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. I'm just telling you, that's the game that's being played. That's the game that's being played out here. So we're gonna take that gem from you. Okay. So we're gonna agree to disagree on the founder. All right. Now, I do have two topics I want to go over right quick, and we got two videos I'm gonna play, and then we'll come back and then we'll discuss it. So Valerie, you can play either one. Let's do that one first.
It's hard. If you're not black, you're not gonna feel it, and you're gonna see it, but you're gonna deny it. We're the only ones that can feel it, because we're on the receiving end of it. We're the only ones that can feel it. They can see it, but because certain privileges they have, it muddies the water for them to see it. Because racism is hidden now. It used to be blatant. No colors allowed, whites only. But now it's like this carpet. We can't see all the fiber in this carpet. That's racism. It's embedded in the fabric of this country. It's in the bank loans when we don't get to see who tell us no on the bank loan.
There it is.
It's in this zip code when we don't know the median average of the income in this zip code. We don't know who all got diabetes, high blood in this particular zip code. Yep. We don't know all the young people that's catching this one particular. That's racism. We can't see it. Because capitalism have come along and is pushing racism out. It's just that we ain't died yet, the ones who know racism. Our kids don't know it. They don't know what it looked like. They don't even know how to identify it. They know classism, rich, poor. But racism will still exist, even when it's classism, even when it's capitalism, because this country was built on racism. It's embedded in the fabric of it.
Literally. Yeah.
That's why certain races got hate bills and we don't, because racism still matters. That's why Asians have a hate bill, and there's no bill for somebody to say, I'm finna go kill a bunch of black people like they did in Jacksonville. That was a hate crime, but it wasn't identified as a hate crime. It was identified as a mental illness crime. Dylan Roof. Man, so we're the receivers of it, so other people can't see it. It looked like we're just complaining and making it up.
Do you think reverse racism is
we don't have no power to reverse it. We don't have a bank where we can deny a white person a loan. We don't set the credit rating scores for the FICA scores. We don't control the school districts, because the school district is where racism is bred and indoctrinated and taught.
I wanted to kind of explain the question first, but let me say this. The question was to him, does racism still exist? All right. And then another thing, when he said in this zip code right here, that was the zip code they were in was like a rich zip code. So when he said, we don't know who got diabetes, we don't know who has this, but they will show that in another zip code and they will talk about that. So that was the question. So I'm asking you, racism still exists?
Absolutely. Or should I say absolutely?
Say absolutely yes.
Absolutely yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with that?
So for me, to be honest, I have never experienced it. I'm not, just out and blatantly.
That you know of.
that I know of.
Right.
However, I have experienced it indirectly, because that was another reason why I stepped out on faith and be like, you know what, I've worked with someone that literally overlooked me and was given other opportunities for my white counterparts, and so it was okay for me to teach them and train them and show up and do all of the things, but I always knew that I was being overlooked. But so in job situations, absolutely. But even in the general, as a African American female, we are now creating our own rooms and creating our own tables because we're being overlooked in corporations. So it's a real thing.
Do you feel like you can go to um, predominantly white county and predominantly white county system, school system, and go in there and just and get the jobs? I mean, your consulting jobs and all that. You feel like you can, that if it's 3 or 4 people, that you can actually go in there neck and neck, and with
I'm
them.
gonna tell you that I'm not gonna not try. I've been in the schools where I've been the only, if maybe one of 5 African Americans in the school district, right,
Right.
or in the school. So I had that. I think that's another reason why I'm okay with standing on my own 2 feet, because regardless if you're gonna see me my color or just see me as a female, I'm okay with that, because I've been in those type of environments where you're uncomfortable. I'm not, because I'm okay. And
Mm-hmm.
so I mean,
But do you feel like that?
I'm not going down the list for institutions. If I wanted a speaking engagement and say, oh, this is an all white institution, I'm not going to do it. Absolutely not. Because my message is my message. And I know that those kids in that school still deserve it as well.
Okay. When I worked in corporate sales, when I worked for AT&T, I had, I sold the large phone systems to corporations. So if you went into a corporation, you saw the big set at the front desk with this secretary, and then it'd be like 1,000 or 2,000 phones throughout the building. I sold those systems for AT&T. And I also sold, at that time, it was just coming out, was the fax machines. And they contracted with another company to market copy machines, because they know if we went into businesses and we wanted to sell a whole package, because someone would come in there with their phone system, their copy machine, and this and that, and then we didn't have it. So they contracted with another company that I could market there. If somebody wanted the whole thing, fax machine, copy machine, and the phone system, when they set up a business, I could do it. What frustrated me the most was, we as Black people, we are so kind and so generous, and we are so, want to help everybody, that we, especially when it comes to Caucasians, we want to feel like, well, we are fair. We're going to do it the fair way. And even though they don't do it that way, one of my examples I had a couple of times was, I kind of went into some of the churches, and I found that market wide open, because a lot of people didn't realize church was a business. So I would go in there and make sales, a lot of sales I made a lot of money through the churches. But there was a couple of times, 2, maybe 3 times, that I had a sale, huge sale. It was the whole big machine, the fax, and the system, because the church was pretty big. I mean, compared to corporations, it wouldn't, but they probably had 200 phones that went throughout the building. That was a big church, and it's a Black church. They always they bid it out, which they didn't have to bid. It wasn't like they're a part of the Baptist whatever, and there was an independent church. It was not a part of none of that. And what I told them, I said, the problem I have with this is, when I go over the hill, like we used to call over the hill, I'm gonna put it like this. In Birmingham, where I grew up, we used to call it over the hill. It was an area called Mountain Brook. That's where the bougie live,
Okay.
in Mount Brook. And I'm just giving an example. It wasn't in Birmingham, but I'm just giving an example. I used to say to the church, see, I can't go to Mount Brook. They ain't even trying to hear from me over there.
Mm.
But old Billy Bob can come over here to West End, where at night he's scared to come over here because he know he can't get out of here. He'll come over in the daytime, and y'all will do business with Billy Bob. But I can't go to Mount Brook and they do business with me.
Mm.
And I said, that ain't even, if I'm laying out something that's even to what, it's kind of like what my competition is bringing, or even better, I should get the deal. Not only that, I even come to your church a lot. Billy Bob ain't coming over here. And a lot of times they did business with old Billy Bob because they felt good about it.
Mm.
But
do you feel like it was that white is right? Because it's that's the sad part about our culture, is that we would support something else or someone else's
right.
Offer versus someone else that look like us, that has that has the exact same thing because you're black, right?
Mm-hmm.
That I think that's true, because some black folks won't do business with us.
That's the point I'm making. That's the point I'm making, is that we won't do that. We'll stand up. Well, the Bible says treat everybody fair and yeah. But obviously in Mount Brook, that same Bible they ain't using. I'm just telling you that. You know what I'm saying? I could call and walked in one of them big churches out there. Man, alarm will almost go off. Can we help you? You know what I'm saying? Like I had to pull out my card. I almost had to wear, I had to wear a big badge on me just to make sure that I'm not a criminal walking in their church. And I'm saying that, but they didn't want to hear that. They felt good. It made them feel good. Mm-hmm. And see, that's a mindset thing that's been passed down through generations of, that's got to stop. But I don't. No, look, I think it's getting better. I think it's a whole lot better. But come on, man.
I was going to say that I think it's getting better. I think we're doing better to where we're identifying what our value and our worth is, even as a culture, because other cultures support one another before they will come over here and do business with us.
Exactly, they're gonna do that.
You have your Asians and those they.
But see, here's the thing with that. Every other race pretty much came to this country together. We came over here on slave ships. We were brought. It wasn't like, any other, like the Spanish community. They might have hopped the wall. They might have came over here illegal, but they came over here as partners. We're going to go ahead and do this thing and win. Any other community, Asian community, any other came to America that way. We were brought in chains. And so that division is going to be always going to be there. It's hard to get around from, what was the letter? When he said, you don't have to beat them, Willie Lynch letter. He said, just put it in their mind that one of them is better than the other, and we are better than all of them. And then you don't have to worry about it the rest of your life. It's going to go down. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
It's definitely a taught thing. We have always been, it's been taught that they want us to be divided because they know in numbers we're stronger together. But we have to believe that as a people. And we have to support one another in business and everything. That's what happens to Black Wall Street, right?
Right.
So that's a point. We are a threat when we stand divided. We stand together, united. And
every time we do try to come together, the powers to be do whatever they can to break that down. I mean, they're gonna use everything. See, you really ain't gonna have a real leader step up, because you saw what happened to Malcolm and what happened to Martin. So they took care of that. So you really ain't gonna have somebody else that's gonna step up, because they know that if they get a chance to try to lead and they can bring a whole party together, then they're gonna keep that divided. All right, so one more. Go ahead.
Even then, not to cut you off, back then you still had Black people that didn't like Malcolm X or Martin Luther King. It wasn't until the passing of them, now we want to, celebrate them and celebrate the movement. but they didn't see it then. But now all of a sudden, everybody's on the bandwagon. You have to
Right.
understand when we're in it, people don't understand the change. They're not willing to
Yeah.
sacrifice to be out there because it's a fear, right?
Right.
Yeah.
You know, the challenge, good point. And the challenge now is even back then, you had that division where they didn't, but it wasn't known like it is now on social media. Everybody got a microphone. Back then, only thing you heard was from television, news reporters, and newspapers. Even though we were, going back and forth, but that was just local in our own little neighborhoods and our own little. Now, everybody got a microphone, and everybody's saying what they want to say, and everybody putting it out here, and they starting a division. That's why I believe this was a planned strategy, social media. So, but yeah, I mean, great discussion there. Let's talk about one more thing. And I think this is also something that has been planted, but I think we can change that. But I keep saying but, because every time you say but, then everything else don't mean anything before that. But again, so yeah, let's just play the clip. You'll see what I'm talking about.
One is guaranteed to die. Why does 80% of African Americans lack life insurance?
Oh, I feel like I be talking a lot, but I'm ready.
Go
This
ahead.
is definitely my topic. This is in direct alignment with my content. It is the thought process that tomorrow is not guaranteed, true, but I'm going to live for today. I can't afford it. They don't want to allocate that money to their future. And a lot of Black people do not think about the responsibility that they have to leave their children an inheritance. At minimum, can you leave me debt free? They are dying with $10,000, $20,000 funeral bills that we got to have a fish fry and a t-shirt sale to pay for. People don't understand that a lot of generational wealth, the Rockefellers, the Vanderbilts, they built their generational wealth by putting life insurance policies on their elderly and waiting on them to die. They took those hundreds of thousands of dollars and started their businesses. And they created trust for the next line of life insurance to go into a trust so we could keep it going. We don't think past today. So we want to live for today because tomorrow's not promised. That's true. But what if you live to be 85? Then what? What if you have children and you leave them in debt? You leave nothing for them. Really, to be honest, the easiest way to build generational wealth is by having life insurance. But we do not plan and we don't care about the generations to come. Why? I'm dead. They can figure it out when I'm gone,
Right.
which is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Nah.
I so agree with her. Oh my god. It's funny because that's one of my fears. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. I don't mind not having sleep. I don't mind, grinding until my head hurts because I want to be able to leave something for my boys, right? And I don't want them to have to take care of mom. Dad don't want them to take care of dad. It's our responsibility to leave something for our kids to ensure that we give them a leg up, right? Not just leave all of the bills and the responsibilities to them. So yeah, I believe in life insurance policies. We do have a trust. I own my home. My boys' names are on our home because it's in a trust, and I want to be able to invest more and get more properties. That's why I'm building my businesses so I can actually do that for them. So I am 100% for life insurance policies and trust and investing and real estate, all of it.
Okay. So
Yeah.
in your opinion, why are Black people not 80%? And like he said, and I really want to give a shout out to the podcast. I can't think of the name of that podcast, but I watch it every now and then. And when I saw that, I've used this clip before, but I think the name was on there when we played the clip. So if y'all saw that, subscribe to their podcast, please do. But like he said, we all know that we're going to die, and 80% of Black folks don't have any life insurance.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Education. You don't know what you don't know. And but another thing that the young lady
you're
said,
going to die.
But you're going to die. But again, it's easier to go get your nails done and your weave done and all that. You can take that money and invest it, and that way you can have things left over so your kids are not.
But hey, we gone, huh? We gone. So they let them handle it on their own.
But I think that's a generation too, because I know like that's a generation for like my grandfather. He probably is one of those folks that think like that. But that's because their parents didn't teach them that way. And so now in 2024, we're starting to gain the information. We're starting to gain the knowledge of the importance of life insurance policy. But most people think, oh, you're not going to get the money. Well, if you do it right, you have to educate yourself. You don't know. I think it's fear. We're afraid of the things that we don't know. And when you start to educate yourself, that's why you got to get out. You have to get in certain rooms and start asking the right questions, and stop paying attention to the people that don't have anything.
Okay, so let's take you and I.
Mm-hmm.
If we were to start the day and say, what would you do, or what could you do to start enlightening people? It has to start. I know a lot of people are doing it. A lot of people are enlightening, but what would you say? Because I'm like, what's the answer then? Okay, so is it something that a person should talk about it? Because you said education. I mean, Black folks know about life insurance now, man. They know that because it's a lot of us selling life insurance.
Right.
So, and I got a lot of guys who sell it say they have no problem from the other group. It's only our group.
Yeah. But that goes also again, are you afraid that to do business with people that look like you? Because that same person will say yes.
I don't think they're doing business at all with nobody on that. Because even with a lot of friends of mine who sell it to them, that's the first thing they go.
I think it's a cost
thing. They're short on money. Mm-hmm. It's the first thing go. Mm-hmm.
It's the money. They're worried about something that they can use now in the moment versus trying to plan for the future. And so it's easier just to be like, okay, if you don't think about it, you don't care. But again, I am over 40, right? And so
really
for me,
really, I thought you were about 25. You over 40?
I take it.
My God. Okay, go ahead.
So I just want to make sure that I educate myself on the things that I don't know, the things that it wasn't a normal conversation in my household. It wasn't a normal conversation in my household. I lost my mother. She was 29 years old. I was 12. I had to move in with my grandfather. He had a 3rd grade education. So those type of conversations were not being had. So I told you.
Back up again. You said you lost who at 29?
I lost my mom. Mm-hmm.
And how old were you?
I was 12 when she passed.
Okay. Was your father in the house?
My father was around, but he wasn't in a home. I have a relationship with my dad, but no, we moved in with my grandfather though.
Okay. And then something else happened. You just said.
My grandfather. I lost my mother, and then we moved in with my grandfather, but my grandfather only had a 3rd grade education.
Okay.
Right, but he worked for himself. He bought real estate. Right. He had real estate. He had properties and all those things, but the conversations were not being had. Because I really understand if he would have had conversations with me even in high school, I probably would have invested sooner in real estate, but I never knew. The conversation.
I think that was something during that time that was assumed by us because we had to get it any way we could. So that was before you got to have all these college degrees and, we got into that instead of, because, you could say this and people are going to say, well, no, it's better now. But, it was almost like before integration, we was almost better because that's how we did it. We did real estate. We started businesses. We did all of that. So he probably assumed that was just assumed to him. So why would he have to sit down and talk? Like, just like now, it's assumed that we should get a college degree.
I feel like he was still keeping money under the mattress. Don't get it twisted. It took him a long time to even get a bank account.
Right. But look, I still believe that's good now because Hey, you might make more money on the mattress than you do in that bank account, but you have to have a bank account. You have to have a bank account.
But he was
operate.
because he realized that because when my mom left, we still there was money being distributed to me and my brother and I, but at the same time, it was still things that he didn't know.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
got
so I guess for me, I knew then like the environment that I was in, and I wanted to learn. I asked a lot of questions. I was very inquisitive kid, so I knew that my environment was way more. There was more to me than my environment, and so I started asking questions and getting surrounding myself with people that knew more than me. And
Okay.
I do that now. So if I need to know about life insurance, guess what? I'm gonna find a person that knows way more.
Yeah, we got a lot of that now. We in an information overload society now, so that's why you can Google life insurance. That's what I'm saying. People Googling everything else, so it shouldn't be where you have to really educate people on that now. But
You do.
you do, you do.
That's just like me selling somebody's dream. I can't sell you your dream. When a parent wants the kid to go to school and get a 4-year degree, and they're like, "No, I don't think it's for me." I can't sell somebody their dream. You got to want it.
All right, so Miss Latasha Sly. Now, let me see. I'm sure having the last name Sly, that you've heard a lot of different things about, Sly Fox and Sly this and Sly that. Have you been called like Sly and the Family Stones?
All the time.
Okay. But I bet you one you haven't heard. And this, when I think about it, comes from one of my favorite jazz guys. When Sly Calls. Never heard that, have you?
When Sly calls, you answer. No, I haven't heard that one.
You need to look that up on YouTube. It's by Michael Franks. That was one of my favorite songs back. Man, Michael Franks songs are classic. He's kind of like the white version of Sade. But Michael Franks is you can look him up. He has a song called When Sly Calls. And tell me what you think about that when you get a chance to check it out. So, but look, this has been a great conversation, man. I really don't want it to end, but we have to end it at some time. And I appreciate you for joining me today. A question that I ask everybody. Now, it was a gap for about maybe 6, 7, 8 interviews that I didn't ask this question. And Valerie didn't remind me to ask the question, so put it on her. But this is a question. Are you a sports fan?
I am a sports fan. Basketball.
Basketball. Great. That's even better. Okay, all right. Who's the GOAT? Michael Jordan or LeBron?
Oh my gosh. I'm a Mike fan. I'm gonna have to say Michael Jordan. No.
That's all I needed to hear. I'm a Jordan fan too. This LeBron stuff, all these Bron.
I like LeBron, and I'm a Kobe Bryant fan.
Yeah, I like him too, but it's too many Bron sexuals out here, and they just get. You can't say anything about Bron. I mean, they bring up he's a family guy. And I'm like, I agree with you that I'm not knocking his family thing, and I'm talking about on the court. We're not talking about how he raised his kids and faithful to his wife. We got all that.
Yeah.
We're talking about all that crying and faking on the court and all that falling out and we as Michael Jordan fans, we didn't do that. We just get back up and head back down the court. You ain't got time to be laying around grabbing your neck and all that old stuff. So you made the right call.
He was the guy that played sick. He played with injuries. He was there.
Everything.
He was a hustler.
He always wanted to play. He never wanted to sit out a game or two. He always wanted to play. And all this sitting out now and this, what they call it, load management and all that. That ain't goats don't load management. So but I appreciate that. Any final things you want to say? Oh yeah, let's shout out. I mean, talk about your website and how to reach you and all that kind of good stuff.
Well, again, thank you for so much for having me on your show. I had an amazing time. It was really, really interesting. And again, I'm honored to be even just here with you and hearing all of the great stories and all that, right? But yeah, Sly Solutions, Sly with a slash solutions.com is my website. I am on IG as Sly Solutions, the Sly Sly, the number 2 at Clarity. I'm all about clarity and connecting other individuals. And yeah, if you want to just hit me up, you can also contact Tony and we'll be able to make it work.
Right. When Sly calls.
When
Okay.
Sly calls.
All right, folks. This has been another episode of the Elite Psyche Mental Toughness Show. Now look, man, y'all got to comment. I know I'm getting the likes, and I know I think a bunch of people just subscribe because I was choking them. Just go on, subscribe. And then they said, that's it. And I think a lot of our followers too watch this show like they watching, Sanford and Son or Andy Griffin, like they watch it or some kind of new sitcom now, and then they just go to the next one. You're supposed to comment. You're supposed to go in the comment section and say a few things. Now, let me tell you what's funny about this. I know that a year from now, 2 years from now, when my podcast is just off the his or just blowing up out here, right? Just blowing up. It's gonna be some comments on like. So now I'm asking for comments now, but I don't think in 2 years I'm gonna be like, you ain't got to comment like that. You ain't
Keep your comment to yourself.
Yeah, to yourself. Yeah. But right now, I need you to go in there and like, comment, say a few good things about Miss Sly, all that stuff. So, but you know what? If you don't, we gonna make it. We gonna make it. Always. Thank you again. And we'll see y'all on the next episode of Elite Psyche.
Y'all have a good one.
All right.